Today, we're diving into a really big idea, a new piece of national infrastructure that's being designed to completely change how Canada trades with the rest of the world. It's called TPTN, and the vision behind it is honestly as ambitious as the National Railway was over a century ago.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the huge challenge that Canadian exporters are facing right now. Then, we'll get into the solution, this idea of a sovereign digital infrastructure. After that, we'll explore how it's being built on global standards to create trust. And finally, we'll look at the actual roadmap for making it all happen.
Okay, let's get right into it. To really understand why something like TPTN even exists, we have to start with a core problem that it's trying to solve for Canada's economy.
This one number, it pretty much says it all. A whopping 84% of all Canadian exports go to just one country, the United States. Now, that relationship has been the backbone of our economy for a long, long time, but it also puts us in a really vulnerable position.
And this isn't just a number on a spreadsheet, right? This overdependence creates real-world risks. It leaves Canadian businesses exposed to things like sudden tariffs, geopolitical tensions, or Buy American policies that can pop up seemingly overnight. It creates this constant cloud of uncertainty that's really tough to plan around.
So you might be thinking, well, why don't we just trade with more countries? And while that's a huge national priority, it's incredibly difficult for the real engine of our economy, our small and medium-sized businesses. For an SME, trying to export to a new market in Asia or Europe, it's a nightmare of different regulations, paperwork, and customs. The cost and the headache are just too much, so they stick with what they know.
So, how in the world does Canada fix this? Well, the proposed answer isn't another policy paper or a trade mission. It's about building something new from the ground up. Foundational infrastructure for the digital age.
And this is it, TPTN, the Trans-Pacific Trade Nexus. Now, it's really crucial to think of this not as just another app or piece of software, but as national infrastructure. It's like a digital trade highway, built and controlled by Canada, specifically to make it easier for our businesses to export.
This is where this idea of sovereign digital infrastructure comes in, and it's a huge deal. What it means is that Canada gets to control the rules, the security, and the data for its own trade systems. Our ability to trade shouldn't depend on another country's platforms or their politics.
And when you see it side by side, the difference is just wow. Right now, without a system like TPTN, Canadian companies often have to rely on foreign platforms. That means millions in fees can leave our economy, and our valuable trade data becomes someone else's asset. With the sovereign system, though, that value, that control, and all that data-driven intelligence, it all stays right here in Canada.
Okay, so it's a great idea, but for a Canadian system to actually work on the world stage, it can't be built in a bubble. It has to be built on a foundation of trust and designed from day one to connect with everybody else.
At its heart, TPTN is being built around 4 key principles. It's designed to be audit-ready, meaning every transaction is transparent and verifiable. It's standards-aligned, which is the key to being credible. It's interoperable, so it can actually talk to systems in other countries. And it uses AI to help automate all that complex compliance work that stops so many small businesses in their tracks.
You know, this alignment with standards is totally non-negotiable. By building the system to meet frameworks like the UN's Global Rulebook for Digital Trade Documents, TPTN makes sure that the information it handles will be legally recognized and trusted by our partners around the world. It's like speaking the same language.
Now, it's super important to be really precise about where TPTN is at today. It has completed a self-assessment against a major global standard, and that's been acknowledged by the Digital Governance Council of Canada. That is a huge step for building credibility. But, and this is key, it's an interim step in the process. It's not a final government certification or an official endorsement. So this brings us to the path forward. How does a project this ambitious go from a blueprint on a screen to something businesses can actually log into and use? Let's be totally transparent here. Right now, TPTN is a functional prototype. There's a clickable demo you can go through, but it hasn't been used in a live pilot yet. And that's by design. It's a deliberate, evidence-first approach. You don't rush critical infrastructure. The strategy isn't to just flip a giant switch one day. It's a careful, step-by-step process. First up, run small-scale pilots with real companies. Then you measure everything. Does it actually save money? Does it speed things up? Once you have the data that proves it works, then you can move to a wider, phased rollout.
And we're not talking about a short-term project here.
The vision is laid out in a 15-year roadmap. The first 5 years are all about building the foundation, probably starting with a key trade corridor like Canada-ASEAN. The next phase is about scaling up to connect more regions. And the ultimate goal, by 2040, is to have this thing fully integrated into the world's digital trade ecosystem.
So, all of this leaves us with the big question. Just like physical railways and ports shaped our economy in the past, digital infrastructure like this is going to define our future. The whole point of TPTN is to give Canada control over its own digital tracks, securing our economic sovereignty for generations to come. The blueprint is there, the journey is just getting started.